Hi, Math 8, Assignment 13, Lucky 13. And you are lucky because we're going to do a continuation of volume. There's really not much new at all here. I think the only thing new is I'm going to do one composite shape. But besides that, it's all the same. So if you really found last day's homework not too bad, you could probably skip all the way to, I'll put the time right here. See it? Right here. Right there. You could skip to that time if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to do the same thing we did last time, but faster. Maybe the second time you've seen it might help. So last time we came up with this master formula for volume. First of all, remember what volume is? It's the amount of space that a shape takes up in the world. Remember if you filled, for example, a cube with water, the amount of water that the cube holds, that's what its volume is. So our master formula was that volume equals the area of the base multiplied by the height of the prism. Okay, that'll always work. But to be honest, oftentimes people like to memorize or write down or learn the different shapes, the different formula for each one of them. So for example, if I start with a rectangular prism, you know what that looks like, right? Like a box. Do you remember what the formula is for the volume of a rectangular prism? Volume, I'm not going to write the whole thing out, I'm just going to write the letters this time. Volume equals length times width times height. You just multiply the three together. Length, width, height. Whatever numbers are there, multiply them together, boom, you got your answer. Remember what you can do with the cube? You could do exactly the same thing. Most people do exactly the same thing. Volume equals length times width times height. If you want to be fancy about it, you could call each one of the sides, since they're all the same, you call them all S, and it'd be volume equals S times S times S. Well, wait a minute. S times S times S is S cubed. But again, if that's too confusing, just use length times width times height. All right, triangular prism. There's different ways to draw it. I'm not going to draw all three ways today. I'm just going to do one. Let's pretend this is a right angle here. Let's take away the little tail here that I've drawn for some reason. So to get the volume of this, you've got to get the area of the base. The base is the triangle. So what's the formula for the area of a triangle? It is base times height divided by 2. And then, that's the area of the base. Now we have to multiply that by the height of the prism. Remember, it's not the height of the triangle. We already dealt with that with this h right here. This is the height of the prism. So I'll use small h for the height of the triangle. So here's your base, here's your height of the triangle. And then this capital H would actually be the height of the prism. Because if we flop this thing over so it was sitting on the triangle, that's how high it would be. All right, cylinder. Toilet paper roll, right? Formula for that? Well, you got to get the area of the base. The base is a circle this time. Remember what the formula is for the area of a circle? It's pi r squared. And then you're going to multiply that by the height of the prism. So multiplied by h. Pi r squared h. Here's your r. R is the radius. It's halfway across the circle. And h is the height. Anyway, you know all this, so I can do this very fast. I am doing it very fast. So I'll do a bunch of questions, again, very fast. Oh, here's a rectangular prism. You can either use the master formula and get the area of this base first, which is a rectangle. You'd go length times width. And then once you have that, you multiply by the height, which is right here. So you go length times width times height. 10 times 3 times 4, which is 120. 120 what? Those are inches. When we're talking about volume, it is cubed. 120 inches cubed is your answer. Cube. This is, believe me, this is meant to be a cube. I could put the tick marks on here if you don't believe me, but there you go. Now it's proven to be a cube. So you could do length times width times height again. Or remember, just to show you, the other way you could do it, if it's a cube, you could do side cubed. So our side is 5. We would do 5 cubed. That does not mean 5 times 3. That means 5 times 5 times 5. And 5 times 5 times 5 is 125 centimeters cubed. Again, I'm going to do these fast because we've done them before. Okay, triangular prism. So we got to get the area of this triangle first, right? Or the other triangle there, either one you want. So to get the area of that, we go base times height divided by 2. And then we're going to multiply by the height of the whole thing. I'm just going to write height like that. So what's the base of this triangle? 4. What's the height of that triangle? I know 7 looks tempting there, but the height is from the highest point straight down. Do you see what distance that is? That's this distance right here. The height is 6. So we got 4 times 6 divided by 2, and then we multiply it by the height of the whole prism. If this prism was sitting on this, if we flopped it over so that was on the ground, this would be the height, wouldn't it? So we multiply it by 12. Alright, 4 times 6 is 24. Divided by 2 is 12, so we get 12 times 12, which is 144 centimeters cubed. Same thing here. The only thing different is it's a right triangular prism, and this was an acute triangular prism. So you do the same thing. You have to get the area of the triangle. So let's get the area of this first. Well, we do that by going base times height divided by 2, then multiply by the height of the whole prism. So again, for this triangle, what's the base? 24 is the base. What's the height? From the highest point straight down? Oh, it's that right there. It's 7. Divided by 2, and we're going to multiply by the height of the whole prism. If this triangular prism was standing with this on the bottom, this would be the height right here, wouldn't it? That'd be how high it is. So we're going to multiply by 22. Uh-oh, this is a hard one for me. I tell you what, I'm going to divide first here. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I got 12 times 7 times 22. I'm not going to lie, I'm pulling out a calculator for that one. I got 1,848 meters cubed this time. Always cubed when you're doing volume. What do we got next? Cylinder? Yes. So remember, we got to get the area of the base, which is the circle, and we said the circle's area is pi r squared, and then multiply by the height of the prism. Okay, well, pi is pi. There's nothing to do there. R, that's the radius. What is the radius of this circle? That's halfway from there to there. The whole way across is 20. So halfway across would be 10. So that is the radius, 10 squared. And then we're going to multiply that by the height. Here's the height right here, it's 20. Remember, what I would want to do first here is to square. So I got 10 squared is 100. So I've got pi, then I've got 100, and then I've got 20. I'll multiply the 100 and the 20 together now, and I get 2,000. And I'm left with that pi. So this is a great answer. This is the perfect answer, 2,000 pi centimeters cubed. But, you know, your book's not going to do that. They're still using the 3.14 or whatever. So if you multiply the 2,000 times 3.14, or even better, use that pi button on your calculator, you will get 6,283.2. If you round, it comes to centimeters cubed. So either one of these answers are fine. This one or this one's even more exact if you want to do that. Okay, this is all review, so maybe you skipped all the way to here. Welcome if you've come here directly. So we're going to find the volume of this composite shape. There's no formula for this L sort of shape. Guess what you're going to do? Same as last time that we did this with area. You can either, it's going to be hard to draw, you can either make this a shape where it's filled in, right? Find the volume of this whole rectangular prism, and then subtract this bit in here. You could do that. Or you could cut, couldn't you? There's two ways you could cut it. You could either cut this shape straight down like this, get the area of this first part, get the area of the second part, and add them together, just like we did before. Or you could cut it here, get the area of the first part, the area of the second part, and add them together. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it this way. I'm not sure it's the best, but let's just do it. So here's my 1, here's my 2. Let's get the area of, well, I'm actually going to get, sorry, not the area. Let's get the volume of 2 first. I think it might be a little bit easier. So the volume of 2, this shape right here, it's a rectangular prism. What's the formula for the area of a rectangular prism? It's length times width times height. So what are the 3 dimensions of this? Well, it tells you that from here to here is 8, from here to here is 3, and here to here is 2. There's your 3 dimensions. So we're going to go 8 times 3 times 2. That's 24 times 2 is 48. Okay, the volume of number 1 now is a little bit more difficult. That is this shape right here. What shape is that? It's also a rectangular prism, so we're going to use the same formula, length times width times height. Now, do we know our 3 dimensions? We know this dimension, so that's good. We know that's 10. We actually know this dimension too. Do you see what that dimension is? Everywhere that's parallel to that will be the same. So this is exactly the same as this, is exactly the same as this, is exactly the same as this, is exactly the same as this. Oh, bingo, there it is right there. So we know that this is 2 millimeters. Okay, the last dimension we need to know is this right here. How are we going to get that? Well, first of all, let me move it over a little bit so you can remember that it is 12 millimeters. From here all the way over to here is 12 millimeters. But what I also know is that from here over to here is 8 millimeters. Well, if that's the case, then it's also 8 millimeters from here to here. So if it's 8 from there to there, how much has to be here in order to make it add up to 12? It must be another 4. 4 plus 8 makes the 12. So we know that this is 4 millimeters in here. Whoops, that should have been millimeters in there. So there's your dimensions, 2, 10, and 4. We can multiply those together. Who cares which one's the length, the width, and the height? It doesn't matter as long as you multiply the 3 dimensions together. So 2 times 10 is 20, 2 times 4 is 80. And then to get the total volume, of course, we will add together our 80 and our 48 to get an answer of 128 millimeters cubed. Okay, everyone, this is volume. I'm hoping now that you've done it 2 days, I've given you 2 lessons, pretty redundant, but hopefully it helped a few people. I hope that you'll be good to go with this. So here's your assignment. Number 13, it's due this Friday at 3 p.m. We're going to do this in 2 sections. There are no A's and B's, so don't worry about that. On page 187 to 188, you're going to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 of them there. And then on page 191 and 192, you're going to do 1, 3, 5. 3 of them there. Grand total of 9 of them. Okay, and what's really important is I only want you to do the volume. Now, we will go back and do surface area. We'll start surface area next day. So we'll likely do all these questions surface area as well. But unless you totally know how to do surface area already, I'd rather you didn't do them. Lots of people find surface area tricky, and I'd like to teach it to you before you give it a shot. So only do the volume questions for now, and then next day we'll start surface area. We'll do that for a few days. Okay? I'm here for you people. If you need help, please reach out to me. And I think I'm finding out tomorrow what's going on with going back to school. So I'll pass that along to you as well. Watch the daily videos. I know not many of you do, but watch that on Tuesday probably, and I'll give you some details hopefully. Okay, take care everyone. Bye-bye.